What screams I have rich parents? The person you kidnapped to ransom. Pro tip, use duct tape to stop the screaming. I'll never forget one guy I went to college saying that's all you got when I told him I got an iPad mini for Christmas. Here was me thinking I'd been spoiled that year. I quickly learned that my pile was much larger than my friends. So when discussing Christmas loot, even at a young age, I would let them go first and tell them my comparable presents only. Obligatory first gold edit, wow. Thank you kind stranger. Teenagers driving brand new cars. I once saw a brand new Bentley being driven by what looked like a 16-year-old girl. I died a little that day. A teenager at the gym I go to literally screamed, "My dad makes millions. You make $11 per hour," at a personal trainer who politely asked him to stop excessively slamming his weights on the ground. I had some rich friends growing up. The really rich ones were very humble. The wannabe rich are the pieces of shit. I knew a girl who was a sweetheart and tried to give me a horse as a present. She thought everybody had a ranch. Whenever you call him out, he insists that his father will hear of this. Owns a house elf. Spontaneously buys Nimbus 2001s for the entire team. Every rich kid I know always asks me why I don't have, insert latest trend. I say, it's expensive. Just ask your parents to buy it. Edit, wow. A lot of you guys relate. I have a rich friend who's slowly learning that being able to have whims satisfied isn't a thing most of us get to have. It's incredibly frustrating sometimes. Occasionally he'll just be like, "Oh, I'm sure your parents could help," when no, he can't. He has his own living to make and can't give me random stuff for fun, but it's also really satisfying to watch him figure it out. And he's genuinely a great guy. Plus, he buys us all pizza. And if you think I'm turning down free food, you're insane. Them, why aren't coming to the Paris trip? Me, too expensive. Them, but it's only 800 euros. Me dart. Edit, the trip was for 1 week in Paris including flights from Finland. And to those saying it's a good deal, it was not my point. You could offer me the Mona Lisa for 10 million but it would still be way beyond my budget even though it's a good deal. Using summer as a verb. From my current job I can say it's not just used by people with rich parents, but also by those who juggle multiple boyfriends and have them all buy them expensive things. One of those boyfriends may also be their boss. Hellhole. I work in a hellhole. One of my ex's friends had a book of guys and listed all the things she could get from each of them. Really churned my stomach. I work with a guy who reminds people nearly every day that his parents are retired millionaires. He's on his way to success. And he's only doing this job temporarily. And that his friend's family constantly ask him why he's wasting his time there. I wish I was exaggerating. But it's almost some kind of defensive impulse he has. I guess he used to make 6+ figs. But that all went away. And he will bring it up the very first time he meets you, how this job is pen isn't he so much better than it. Cringy conversation every time. Being 17 and having a fancy ducking car that you can barely drive without crashing. Source, went to private school for a few years. I saw some kid who looked 19-20 years old at the gas station filling up his Lambo. Dude seriously looked like he was a Saudi prince. This was in Houston, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was true and he was swimming in oil money. No Saudi prince is going to be filling up his own gas. If you do that, my dad will sue you. At my school we just said my dad has a .22. That's the tiniest bullet. We shoot the whole bullet. That's 60% more bullet per bullet. Competing in the Winter Olympics. I learned during the Olympics that to equip a snowboarder for a competition is worth more than what an average family makes in a year in my country. Well, a thing that screamed that to me about my sir was when he casually mentioned he had been to every single Disneyland in the world. As if it was a totally normal thing. Wearing your cardigan over your shoulders like a cape. Graduating from a prestigious private university with minimal scholarships. No financial aid. And no debt. Living alone in a nice apartment while still in college with no income. Except for the occasional paycheck from being paid to browse the web. This was during the dot-com bubble. Starting a business for 2 years and not making a penny. Living alone and eating out all the time despite living in a high cost of living area and spending over half of official monthly income on rent. Having 2 cars without ever personally purchasing a car. As a young woman, I always notice the teenage girls with new, expensive phones, usually Apple, designer bags, sunglasses, and watches. Always a perfect manicure, lash extensions, etc. Expensive to maintain. God. I remember 15 plus years ago I was in 6th grade in Memphis and girls had those fake nail manicures. I begged my mom to let me have mine done and she was like absolutely not. I was so pissed. We moved shortly after that to a small farming community 8 hours away and no one had them done. I'm a grown-ass woman now and I don't go to nail salons because the upkeep is too much. I can't believe parents were spending that on their 12-year-olds. I remember girls at my school having nice manicures and I bought some stick-on nails from the drugstore using my babysitting cash and thinking I was hot shit and gonna be just as cool. Then they popped off the next day and I really regretted spending half of my money on garbage. Asking why you don't have the newest phone. These group of girls could not understand why I could not just ask my parents. I make around $16 hours at my job. A 19-year-old co-worker has a really nice 2017 Mercedes-Benz. On his Facebook he posted a photo of his that said fully paid off Mercedes. This is what hard work gets you. Yeah? Okay. Edit. Spelling. I like to imagine this guy really paid off her MB by age 19. But his parents financed him. Bought his lunches and gas and insurance. etc. So he really thinks boom. Baby. Keep the same phone for 2 years. And you can afford a lot more than you thought. Frugal. Do you know who my dad is? Anytime somebody pulled that sheet with me, which, admittedly, was rare, I said no, but your mother knows who I am. I brand new iPhone every time a new one comes out while never having had a job themselves. And chances are it already has a cracked screen. College kid, white. Dreadlocks. Hacky sack. Birkenstocks. Ripped cargo shorts. Dirty tie-dye fish t-shirt. Patchouli oil. A look in his eye that says hey man. But he drives a brand new ducking Range Rover with all the bells and whistles. Hahaha, I literally know a kid who fits this exact description. Spot on. When you are 40 years old, only ever worked in the family business and are being investigated by the FBI for possible light treason. Mention offhand I'm tired from work. Get asked how much I work. Say a full work week, 5 days, 8 hours. The norm. Get a shocked face and could you not ask for less hours? Yeah. But I want to. You know. Eat and be able to stay in uni come summer's end. The point where I find they have a completely different relation to work. If they even work. Teen girls using high-end makeup. Sheet. As a teen I bought my mascara from the $2 shop. They're profiled in top 10 entrepreneurs under 30. I lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And there are all these local weekly mags that'd do a variation of this story. Basically rich kids getting profiled for having a website, a sunny office with ultra-modern furniture, and promises to disrupt some industry. I don't think you're going to shock the world with your machine learning internet marketing platform there, Alexander. The kids that always had packed lunches with the good bread. No concept of earning a living. No concept of budgeting. No concept of hard work. Doesn't understand why their friend can't go out to eat at a place that only takes reservations 7 days a week. Every week. Can't perform simple tasks without help such as pumping their own gas, cooking any type of food, laundry, etc. 2-month tour of Africa on 3 days notice? Just quit your job. You can always get another one. Too expensive? It's only a few grand. can't you swing that? You get paid Friday, right? Will spend $100 a week eating out constantly. But flat out refuses to tip. When questioned about it replies, "It's the waiter's fault for not getting a better job." Source: I was friends with this guy before I finally got sick of his bullshit. Don't have an answer, but as a rich kid who tries really hard to not act spoiled, I'm getting some really good pointers. To be honest, you don't need to try not to act rich. My friend didn't say anything about his wealth and no one knew he was rich until they went to his house. They didn't know because 1. No one asked. 2. He didn't tell. 3. He acted normal. If word of your wealth slips, just let it be. You know. As long as you're not a big dig about your money, no one will care. Inviting you to do something somewhere expensive without a second thought. Super weird showing up somewhere to meet friends and realizing 1. You can't afford this activity, and 2. Your friends aren't even aware of the cost. That's when the light bulb flickers on and suddenly, all the strange things you notice make sense. They're rich. When you roll up in the school parking lot with a brand new car but you don't work. When you get a new set of nails every other week but don't have a job. When your outfit costs more than my entire goddamn school wardrobe. When you get pissed at your mom for not giving you enough to buy a sweater after school. So you tell her to bring you more and continue to itch. Half rich, half brat. Always has the newest iPhone. Starting back with the very first one. I've only had a new phone once in my life and it made me damn proud. Drives car of the year. Vacations in Croatia. Has own apartment downtown, all at 22 years old. I'm from Central Europe and Croatia is the vacation place for middle class. Every teen who wears Supreme clothes. All the drug dealers at my school wear Supreme and Gucci but don't have rich parents, but I def see those kids way more often. My friends were always shocked when they went shopping with me and I would pay with my mom's credit card. Before I had my own credit card, my parents would tell me to use theirs and they'd take the money out of my checking, but they would still get the miles. I was still paying every penny. Someone asking, why don't you just ask your parents for help with something expensive? Like cars, apartments, college, etc. Streaming YouTube vids on mobile data. I don't know why people put themselves in debt. Like, if you can't afford college, why even bother? Uttered by some rich's roommate of my brother's at SCAD. Those brats on MTV's My Sweet 16. I remember watching that as a teen and how much I hated those fellow kids. People whose family casually takes vacations every few months. One of my co-workers is a university student studying to be a vet tech. And in the 6 months or so I have known her, she has been to Greenland, Disney World, and Germany. Each for about 2 weeks. We live in a remote northern Ontario city in Canada. Canada Goose. Nice cars. No student debt. And an entitled demeanor screams I have wealthy parents. Simply never getting a job. Perpetually vacationing. And starting your own company screams rich parents. He's the CEO of a tech startup and lives the lifestyle of a successful young CEO. Always smart casual. Nice car. Man, I'm so busy all the time. Dinners in high-end restaurants. Instagram pics in expensive clubs. Work hard, play hard. But his startup hasn't actually released anything. 17 and driving around in a brand new soft top Fiat 500. The staple daddy's little angel car. More like I have a rich family. But when asked how they afford tuition, they said the trick is just write a bunch of letters to your family asking for a little contribution for college. It may only be a few thousand from Aunt Lou, a couple thousand from Uncle John, and not seem like a lot at first. But eventually it adds up. If I did that, I'd probably get $20 from one relative, maybe $50 from another, and I'd be grateful. Can't imagine relatives casually throwing thousands at you like it's nothing.